They thought you'd crumble, didn't they? Thought the weight of their cruelty would grind you into dust, turn you into another forgotten casualty in their endless parade of victims. They figured you'd break under the pressure, shatter like glass when the storm hit, and scatter to the winds, never to be seen again. But here you are, still standing, still breathing, still carrying every ounce of what they did to you, not as a burden, but as fuel. Fuel for something darker, sharper, more unrelenting than anything they could have imagined. You're not broken, you're forged. And now it's time for them to see exactly what that means. Let's get one thing straight right now. This isn't about revenge. Oh no, revenge is for fools. For cowards who think lashing out will somehow balance the scales. This is about justice. The kind of justice the world refuses to hand down because it's too busy coddling the guilty, excusing their sins, patting them on the back while they step over the bodies they've left behind. No, this isn't revenge. This is retribution. This is consequence. This is making sure they understand deep in their hollow little souls that there's a price for everything. And they've been running on borrowed time. You see, people like them, they don't believe in consequences. They operate on a simple formula. Hurt, discard, move on. It's worked for them so far, hasn't it? They've built their lives on the wreckage of others, stacking their trophies high, smugly convinced they're untouchable. But what happens when the foundation starts to crack? What happens when the person they counted on to stay down finally rises up? What happens when the ghost they thought they buried comes back? Not with screams or fists, but with silence, patience, inevitability. That's where they made their first mistake. They underestimated you. They looked at you and saw weakness, vulnerability, someone easy to manipulate, easy to crush. But they didn't see the fire beneath the surface. They didn't see how pain doesn't destroy people like you.it sharpens them. Every betrayal became a lesson. Every scar became armor. Every moment of doubt became a stepping stone towards something stronger, fiercer, more unshakable. And now they're gonna feel the full weight of what they created. Because here's the thing about scars. They aren't just reminders of pain. They're proof of survival. Proof that you endured what was meant to destroy you. Proof that you came out the other side not as a victim but as a force. A reckoning. Something they'll never fully understand until it's too late. And trust me, it will be too late. Because you're not playing by their rules anymore. You're rewriting the game entirely. The strong don't fear justice. They welcome it. Why? Because they know they can handle it. It's the guilty who tremble when the past comes knocking. It's the liars who sweat when the truth starts creeping closer. It's the ones who thought they could walk away clean, who start praying when they realize the person they buried isn't buried at all. And you already know that, don't you? You felt it in your gut, that slow burn, that quiet whisper in the back of your mind telling you it isn't over, not even close. Every day, you wake up carrying the weight of what they did to you. It presses down on your chest like a stone, heavy and unyielding. But instead of letting it crush you, you've learned to carry it differently, to use it, to let it remind you why you can't stop, why you won't stop. Sin doesn't break people like you. It builds them. It sharpens them. Like a blade dragged across stone, it turns you into something they can't control, can't predict, can't stop. And that's what terrifies them the most. They thought pain would destroy you, that it would carve you into something small, something weak, something they could dismiss without a second thought. But all it did was carve you into something else entirely. Something they'll never be able to face without trembling. The world teaches people like you that you have two options: forgive and forget, or become the monster they always accused you of being. But there's a third option, the one they don't want you to realize exists. You don't forgive, and you don't become a mindless beast. You remember, you learn, you rise. And when the time is right, you act. See, people like them. They survive on comfort. They need the world to stay predictable, to keep their hands clean while others drag through the mess they created. They talk about morals, about fairness, about how you should be the bigger person. Funny, isn't it? How the ones who hurt you the most are always the first to preach about peace when they realize the game is changing. They want you docile, weak, chained by your own conscience while they walk free. But tell me, where was their conscience when they tore you apart? Where was their guilt when you were screaming inside, wondering why no one cared? No, they don't get to dictate the rules anymore, you do. But here's where most people mess up. They think justice is about lashing out, about screaming into the void, about making reckless moves just to prove they're alive. That's what fools do. You move smart. You let patience be your weapon. Let silence be your shield. You watch. You wait. You make sure every step you take is the right one. Not driven by blind rage, but by something sharper, something colder, something calculated. The best payback isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself with fireworks and bloodshed. The best payback is a whisper that turns into a storm, a presence they can't shake, a shadow that stretches over them, no matter how much light they surround themselves with. And when that moment comes, when the weight of their own sins comes crashing down on them, when the walls they built with lies start to crumble, when they look over their shoulder and realize the one person they never wanted to see again is standing right there, that's when it all makes sense. That's when the real fun begins. So tell me, are you ready? Are you ready to make them remember? Because they thought you'd forget. Thought time would do their dirty work for them. Thought you'd fade into the background like a ghost with no voice, no fight left. no reason to exist beyond the pain they left you with. But ghosts don't disappear, do they? Ghosts haunt. Ghosts linger. And sometimes ghosts come back stronger than anyone ever imagined. It's time to remind them. Time to show them exactly who they tried to bury. Because you never forgot. And neither will they. You know what the funny thing is? They walked away thinking it was over. Thinking you were just another casualty. Another name on their list of people who wouldn't make it. Another lesson in their book of conquests. They smiled while you suffered, slept peacefully while you drowned in your own thoughts. And for a while, maybe you believed it too. Maybe you thought they won. Maybe you sat in the dark, fists clenched, wondering how people like them get away with everything, while people like you are left to pick up the broken pieces. But that's the thing about broken things. They can be rebuilt. Stronger, sharper, deadlier. And now here you are. Not a victim, not a statistic, not a footnote in someone else's story. You are the storm they thought would never come. You see, they operate on a simple formula. Hurt, discard, move on. They expect you to collapse under the weight of it all. Expect you to crumble like everyone before you. But what happens when the formula breaks? What happens when the one they left in the dirt doesn't just get back up, but stands taller, walks harder, breathes heavier? That's when panic sets in. That's when reality slaps them in the face. Because it was never about what they did to you. It was always about what you were going to do after. The ones who wronged you, they never feared your pain. Pain is predictable. Pain can be controlled. What they fear is what comes after the pain. What they fear is the moment you stop mourning and start moving. You've been silent long enough. You've let the world tell you how you should feel, how you should behave, how you should heal. But healing isn't about pretending. It's not about plastering over the cracks and calling it a day. No, real healing is war. It's standing knee-deep in the wreckage and deciding this is not where your story ends. It's picking up every shattered piece of yourself and forging something new, something unbreakable, something they never saw coming. And when you do, when you walk past the ruins of who you used to be and step into the fire of who you are, that's when the world takes notice. They will talk. Oh, they will talk. They'll call you obsessed, call you ruthless, call you too much. They'll whisper behind your back, spinning their own version of events where they are the victims, where you are the villain. Because that's what people like them do. They rewrite history to fit their own narratives. And you let them talk, let them spin their little stories. Because words don't change reality. Reality is you, the undeniable, unshakable proof that they didn't break you the way they thought they did. Reality is watching them choke on their own arrogance when they realize the same person they tossed aside is the same person they now fear. This isn't about getting even. Getting even means playing by their rules. No, this is about something bigger. It's about rewriting the rules entirely. It's about showing them that the past isn't a graveyard, it's a battlefield. And you're not just another casualty. You are the reckoning. The one thing they never prepared for, never expected, never thought they'd have to answer to. But they will. Oh, they will. 'Cause life has a funny way of balancing the scales, doesn't it? When the weight of their own actions comes back to haunt them, when the echoes of their choices start clawing at their minds, when they finally see your face and realize that their past mistakes have come knocking, that's when the real justice begins. But you must be smart. You must be patient. This isn't about rage. Rage is a fire that burns fast and dies just as quickly. No, you are the slow burn, the inevitable force. The shadow that moves in silence, watching, waiting, choosing when to strike. Because the worst kind of vengeance isn't the one they see coming. It's the one they never even realize is happening until it's too late. You don't chase them. You don't scream into the void hoping they hear you. No, you build. You grow. You rise so high that their entire existence looks small in comparison. That's the real punishment. That's the real justice. They don't get to win. They don't get to walk away with the satisfaction of thinking they ruined you. And here's the best part. When they see you again, when they hear your name, when they realize you are still here, still standing, still winning, watch their faces. Watch the panic settle in. Watch the realization dawn on them like a slow creeping nightmare. That's when you'll know. That's when you'll feel it. The power shifting, the balance tilting. Because for the first time in their lives, they will be the ones afraid of the past, afraid of the consequences, afraid of you. So tell me, what will you do now? Now that the choice is in your hands, now that the pain they cause no longer owns you, no longer controls you, now that the scars they left aren't reminders of your suffering but symbols of your survival. What will you do with the power they handed you the moment they thought you were too weak to fight back? Because this is your moment. They thought you'd forget, but now it's time for payback. And here's the thing about payback. It's not always loud. It's not a screaming match in the streets. It's not throwing fists, breaking bones, spilling blood in some dramatic showdown where you finally get your moment. Payback is silent. It's precise. It's the slow creeping hand of consequence wrapping around their throats, squeezing tighter with every choice they made, every lie they told, every betrayal they thought would stay buried. Payback isn't about proving them wrong in the moment. It's about letting time do the talking, letting their own actions become the noose they tied for themselves. 'Cause the truth always catches up. And when it does, it doesn't knock. It breaks down the door. You don't need to chase them. They will run in circles, trying to outrun their own guilt, their own cowardice, their own past. They will see shadows where there are none, hear footsteps in the silence, feel eyes on them, even when they're alone. Because deep down, they know what they did. And they know no matter how much time passes, no matter how far they run, there will come a day when they have to answer for it. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but someday they will feel it. The weight of every lie, every betrayal, every moment they let you suffer while they laughed. And when that day comes, when they wake up in a world where you are no longer beneath them but above them, watch them crumble. Watch the panic in their eyes as they realize the same person they dismissed, underestimated, destroyed, is now the same person they fear. Fear. Fear is the real punishment, not pain, not revenge. Fear. That constant gnawing terror that lingers in the back of their mind, whispering, reminding, making them look over their shoulder even when no one's there. Fear isn't a moment, it's a lifetime. Fear is knowing that the past is never truly buried, that the ghosts of their sins will always come back, that the people they crushed under their feet will rise again. That's why people like them never find peace, because they know what they've done. They know they were wrong. And no matter how much they try to pretend otherwise, no matter how much they build their little illusions, there will always be that voice inside them, that whisper in the dark, telling them they were never safe. And neither were you. For years, maybe even your whole life, you walked through the fire, wondering when it would end, wondering if you'd ever escape, wondering if the pain would ever go away. And you learned, didn't you? You learned that the world doesn't save people like you. The world doesn't care about fairness, about justice, about who deserves what. The world only cares about power. Who has it, who controls it, who is willing to do what it takes to take it back. And that's where they miscalculated. They thought you would stay powerless. They thought you would accept your place as the one who was hurt, the one who was forgotten, the one who would fade into nothing while they went on with their perfect little lives. But you didn't. You refused. You see, suffering has a funny way of transforming people. It either breaks them or builds them. And you let it build you. Every betrayal became a lesson. Every scar became a symbol. Every moment of weakness became a foundation for something stronger, something unshakable, something they can't understand. Because they've never had to survive the way you did. They don't know what it's like to stare into the abyss and walk away stronger. They don't know what it's like to lose everything and still rise. But they will. Because one day they will stand where you once stood. They will feel what you felt. They will understand what it means to be abandoned, betrayed, left with nothing but their own regrets. And when that day comes, you won't even have to lift a finger, because the weight of their own sins will do the work for you. And that's the part they'll never see coming. They expect you to be angry, to lash out, to scream for revenge like some mad dog foaming at the mouth. That's what they want. Because if you lose control, they win. If you let your emotions blind you, they get to paint you as the villain, as the crazy one, as the unstable one. But you're smarter than that. You don't give them that satisfaction. You don't waste your energy chasing ghosts when you can become something far more terrifying. You let your silence be the thing that haunts them. You let your growth be the answer to every question they never wanted to ask. You let your success be the only vengeance you ever need. Because the truth is, there's no greater punishment than watching the person they tried to break become untouchable. Watching the person they counted on to disappear become the one thing they can never escape. Watching you win, not because of them, but in spite of them. So let them wonder. Let them lie awake at night, piecing together the puzzle of their own downfall. Let them pretend they don't care while the truth eats them alive from the inside. Because you're already gone. You've already moved beyond them. And the best part, they will spend the rest of their lives trying to figure out how they lost a game they didn't even realize they were playing. That's the beauty of it. They thought you'd forget. But now they'll never forget you. And that's the real nightmare for them, isn't it? Not that you'll come knocking at their door. Not that you'll throw fists or scream your rage into the world. No, that's too easy. That's predictable. That's what they'd expect, what they've prepared for. But you're not a fool. You don't waste energy on useless battles. You don't lower yourself to their level. Because the worst punishment isn't pain, it's irrelevance. It's making them realize, piece by piece, day by day, that they no longer hold any power over you, that they don't matter, that their words, their lies, their betrayals, they were nothing more than stepping stones on your path to something greater. That's what will kill them. Not your fists, not your fury, but the fact that you moved on. Because here's the truth no one likes to admit. The ones who betray you, the ones who try to break you, they need you. They need you to react, to chase, to fight, to validate their importance. Because the moment you let them go, the moment you stop caring, that's when they cease to exist. That's when they realize they weren't as powerful as they thought. And for people like them, for those who built their entire existence around control, around manipulation, around feeding off the pain of others, that's worse than any revenge you could ever dream of. But make no mistake, there will be days when the memories creep back in. Days when the weight of what they did feels like chains around your throat. Days when the anger, the sadness, the questioning, why? Why did they do it? Why did they turn on you? Why weren't you enough? Threatened to pull you under. And on those days you have a choice. You can sink. Let them win. Let them own even your silence. Let their actions dictate your future. Or you can rise. You can take the pain, the loss, the grief, and you can use it. Mold it into something stronger. Because that's what warriors do. They don't let wounds fester. They don't let scars define them. They wear them as proof, as armor, as a testament to the fact that they survived what others could not. And you are still here. They thought you'd break. They thought they'd erase you, leave you in pieces, make you nothing more than a memory that fades with time. But time didn't bury you. It sharpened you, turned you into something they'll never understand, something they'll never be able to undo, and that's the price they pay. Not today, not tomorrow, but in the end, when they realize you were never theirs to break, because the past.it belongs to them, but the future is yours, and that's what they'll never accept. Never be able to wrap their hollow little minds around. The fact that you walked away from the wreckage they left you in and built something they could never touch. They wanted to be the author of your downfall, the architect of your destruction, the ghost in your mind that haunted you forever. But instead, they became a lesson, a warning, a faded scar you carry not with shame but with power, and that will torment them in ways they could never have imagined, because they wanted to matter, they wanted to be significant in your story. And instead, they've been reduced to nothing. Just another mistake you outgrew, just another shadow in a past that no longer holds you hostage. While they waste time rewriting history, you move forward, faster, stronger, untouchable. They can pretend, lie, and play the victim, but deep down, they know they lost something priceless. Your trust, your presence. The worst part, you don't care. You need no apologies, no explanations. They were just a lesson, and the version of you they betrayed is gone. What remains is someone they can never control, never hurt again. Their torment isn't in the betrayal itself, but in watching you rise, knowing they expected you to stay broken. Instead, you thrived, and now they're left with regret as slow poison, creeping in through memories they can't escape. Because some losses never stop hurting, and you don't have to do a thing, you don't have to reach out, you don't have to explain yourself, you don't have to prove anything. You just have to keep going. Because every step you take, every success you achieve, every moment you live without them, it's another dagger in their heart, another reminder that they were wrong, that they bet against the wrong person, that they thought they could break you, only to realize they only built you. And now they have to live with that knowledge every single day. And that is justice. No revenge, no anger, no wasted breath, just you existing, thriving, moving forward, while they are left behind, trapped in the prison of their own making, shackled by their own regrets, haunted by the one thing they never wanted to admit. They needed you more than you ever needed them. They thought you'd forget. But now they will never forget you.